This episode of What's the Story podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, including yours truly and my immaculately groomed co-host Graham Merrow Merrigan. Now, if you're in the market for some beautiful town halls, we have an exclusive offer just for our listeners. 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the code WTSPOD at checkout. And that's available worldwide. So if you're in Ireland, the UK, the US, Europe, Canada, Australia, doesn't matter. Use WTSPOD at checkout. You'll get that discount and that free shipping. Now, we've been banging on about Manscaped for a good while in this podcast, so I'm going to assume a lot of you out there are already using the good old Lawnmower 3.0, their third generation trimmer that features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce those grooming accidents like nicks and tugs and scratches and all the things you get with lesser blades. I'm going to assume you're already benefiting from that advanced skin safe technology that Manscaped have. I'm also going to assume that your nasal hair and ear hair are completely under control, that they get regular trimmages thanks to the weed whacker. I'm going to make that assumption. What I'm here today to tell you about, lads, is Manscaped's brand new peak hygiene plan. It's a cracking little package. That's what the ladies will say when you use the lawnmower, what? Anyway, it's a great little plan. And it's a membership and it's a members portal that allow you mix and match and tweak and pick, and you can do all those things with all the different Manscaped products that you want and love. So rather you want some ball deodorant, rather you want some replacement blades, rather you want some foot deodorant, rather you want a bit of ball toner, rather you want an old crop mop, the old ball wipe, you can mix and match, you can pick whatever you want, you get it sent to you straight to your door, hassle free, so that your town hall hygiene is always going to pass inspection. You want more though? You want more good news about it? I mean, they give you a free gift. Yeah, that's right. You're not just getting discount with our code. You're not just getting great balls. You're not just getting clean and fresh and looked after. You're also getting a free gift every time. Isn't that good, huh? So your replenishment pack always comes with something a little bit extra to put a smile on your face. Go to manscaped.com. Use the code WTSPOD at checkout. You get 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com and using the code WTSPOD. Put handsome on autopilot with the new peak hygiene plan from Manscaped. Hello everybody and welcome to WTS 231. My name's Danny Murray and alongside me as always is my co-pilot, a man who recently had a medical procedure, and when asked if he's ever been bedridden, he said a few times and once in a van. Graham Merrow Merrigan.
You were dying to use that, weren't you?
It was, yeah. I'm amazed I got it out without laughing, to be honest.
I'll tell you what, you're thinking, I'll tell you that, well, I'll use that when Paul Howard's on.
Absolutely.
That's noted, Dan.
Oh god, right, well look, no point messing around. Frank Sinatra once said of love and marriage, you can't have one without the other, and the same goes for our two guests who are now just part of the furniture in this podcast, Paul Howard and Gary Mackle. Gentlemen, how are yous?
Great to be here.
Hello.
Gary, you're in fine fettle this evening.
Yeah.
Good man. And you were just as we were pressing record there, you had a comment for Graham about how he's appearing tonight. Would you like to repeat that?
Yeah. He's holding his phone very close to his face, so I said to him, "It looks like you're about to meet George Michael for a morning glory."
Graham's a good responder.
He's just a dirty looking fucker. Look at him.
Merlow's Wi-Fi for the last month has been on the blink. Now he's about 10 seconds behind everything we're saying here. This is gonna be fucking cat.
No, am I? I can hear everything.
Oh, you're very slow to chime into Gary's comment there. That's all.
I heard it. It's repeat content. It wasn't
Oh,
funny the first time, so it wasn't funny the second time.
I found it humorous, to be honest with you, and you do have the look of a George Michael fan off you.
George Michael.
Lads, I've been buzzing for this podcast now since January because, Paul, a while ago you said you'd been watching VH1's 100 Greatest Power Ballads.
Yeah.
How did that go? Like, I don't, lads. Now, Graham, you said you're not a fan of power ballads, which baffles me. I don't know how anybody can't be a fan of power ballads.
I know they're good. I wouldn't be going out of the way to listen to the car journey or I have it on my Spotify or anything about power ballads.
Right.
You could have a secret Spotify list of power ballads like that. You know, in the event of your death, whoever got your phone wouldn't be able to find it or something like that, you know. My power ballads are out there for everyone to see, and my love of power ballads is out there for everyone to see. Last week, I was watching the telly, and on was it MTV? MTV Classic had Cher versus Tina Turner, right? It was unbelievable, right? At the start, I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to separate these two, you know? And 3 hours of prime content later, I was just even more entrenched in that view, you know? Just brilliant song after brilliant song, you know? A great many of them power ballads, you know? But I would have my own, I'd watch the power ballads on VH1 if it's on. Of course I would, like, you know, I'm human, right? But I think I have my own lists on the iPod, like, of power ballads that I put on the car, like in the car, and they're the classics for me. See, my problem with the VH1 power ballads is they put a lot of stuff in there that isn't really power ballad, right? It's kind of, they put in like you know, The Final Countdown by Europe.
No, I'm not having that.
Or some Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, and they're not power ballads. You know, a power ballad is Total Eclipse of the Heart, you know, No More the Fool by Elkie Brooks, something like that. You know, but it's not that. It's not guitar band. It's not hair bands or anything like that. You know, so I would be I'm quite discerning in me power ballads.
Would you be a purist? Would you consider yourself a purist?
I don't know if I'm a purist, but I know what I like. You know,
That's
and a lot of stuff that you know, the mainstream would push at me as power ballad. It's not power ballads, and I would actually have that argument in the house on my own with the television. Like when it would come on, I would shout at the telly, like, you know, that is not a power ballad. That is not a power ballad, and I'd just mute the telly. And it's hard watching them programs anyway, because you get two songs. I don't know if you guys are into the VH1 channels, you know, the music channels,
the
500s or something. And I mean, I love those, right? I flipping love them. But you're watching some song from your childhood, like, you know, watching like Billie Jean or something like that, and then you've got to watch about 7 minutes of ads, and they're the most depressing fucking ads you ever saw in your life, like, you know. So you're on a high, like, you know, you're dancing around the bathroom, and the floor of the bathroom is lighting up because you're dancing to fucking Billie Jean, right? And then the next thing, you're watching an ad for fucking funeral insurance, like, you know, and then these fucking depressing charity ads, while very meaning and for great causes quite often, right? But Jesus Christ, they bring you down. There was one on the other day, and I swear to God, right, I'm not making this up, the opening line was, "Right now, donkeys are suffering." Right? Like, now in fairness, I was going to set up a direct debit with them because it was fucking horrific what I was looking at.
We should give a shout out to the Donkey Sanctuary down in Cork. Do great work.
They do fantastic work. But what was kind of interesting, that was in the middle of this Tina Turner Cher thing, and some of the donkeys in the videos actually had more meat on them than Tina Turner and Cher.
I presume, in terms of Tina Turner and Cher and power ballads, if I could turn back time by Cher, it has to be right up there.
Oh, I mean, it's a classic. You know, it is a classic. I love that phase of Cher's career, you know, the Heart of Gold, Heart of Stone period.
Yeah.
She had that album. See, Cher really, like Tina Turner, you know, she was a star of the 60s and the sort of up to the mid 70s, and then she sort of disappeared for a bit, you know, and then reinvented herself in the 80s. And that particular album, there was If I Could Turn Back Time. There's a great song on that album called Just Like Jesse James. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember that, yeah.
You're strutting into town like you're slinging a gun. Just a small town dude with a big city attitude. Honey, are you looking for some trouble tonight? And it's all this Wild West talk as a kind of love, as a sort of love ballad, like, you know. And there's the line in the chorus is, now you're going to go down in flames, just like Jesse James. You're an outlaw lover, and I'm after your hide. You ain't so strong. Won't be long till your hands are tied. It's fucking brilliant, like, you know, how she could get that many Wild West metaphors into a ballad like that is just beyond me. I have to take my hat off to her. But anyway, I got that album, you know, and I was going out with a girl from Glenageary, right, and she got us tickets to see Cher at the Point, right, the Point Depot. In 1990, kind of maybe October, November 1990, you know. Anyway, so we went down, and in those days, it was fucking terrifying to walk down to the Point, right? You see now, you fucking soft lads, when you're going down, like you're surrounded by like glass and steel buildings and everything, right? In those days, it was just warehouses. It was like something from On the Waterfront, right? You'd walk down there. I'm not making this up. One night I was going down to a gig. Might have even been that gig, and there was a barn door open, and there was a dog fight happening in there, right? At about 7 o'clock in the evening, men were fighting dogs. It was fucking lawless, like, you know. So Harry Crosby got his hands on it and did it all up. But anyway, we were both terrified walking down there, you know. And then we went to the gig, and the Cher was on for about, I'd say she was on the stage for a total of about 40 minutes. And she had about 19 costume changes. And then she just played the songs on the album and fucked off, like, you know. And it was terrible. And then I didn't see that girl again. And that's not really relevant to anything, you know, except just to tell you that I've been a fan of Cher for a long time, you know.
Gary, you're a man who strikes me as you did a kind of I can't think of the word, like, not fancy dress, but you thank you. Yeah, you took part in a lip sync battle, and you dressed up as the girl out singing Moulin Rouge. I'd imagine you'd be able to, with a dinghy down in the harbour and support from a few fellas. I think Turn Back Time would easily be recreated by you.
Well, Turn Back Time was actually performed on the night of the lip sync battle.
Oh.
And the chap who done Turn Back Time made it to the final. The final, which he lost to ourselves, obviously, because we won it. I repeat, we won it.
Well done, Gary.
Congrats. Congrats.
Where was it on, Gary? Was that in Arklow?
In the Arklow Bay, Paul.
Yeah. The Arklow Bay, yeah.
Great night. But power ballads for me, I always think of Whitesnake when I think of power ballads.
Yeah.
And headbands, long curly hair. I think Here I Go Again is an absolute banger of a power ballad. I love it.
Would Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love, fall into the category for yous?
Yes.
Not for me. Like
Top of the Pops. It reminds me of Top of the Pops, and I love that era of Top of the Pops.
I think it would for me. That would be a power ballad for me. But see, Here I Go Again on my own. That wouldn't be a power ballad for me, right? But say Whitney Houston. See, a lot of power ballads are by women, like, you know. I think about 90% of them are by women. And the what's that one? Not The Greatest Love of All. Yeah, The Greatest Love of All. That's
Jennifer,
really, you know.
Yeah, Jennifer, whatchamacallit sang that, didn't she?
No, Good Greatest Love of All is Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston sung that.
Yeah.
What am I thinking of then?
Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. It's supposed to be about self-love.
Oh,
What is your favourite power ballad then, Paul?
I think Didn't We Almost Have It All by Whitney Houston. Either that or Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler.
Total Eclipse of the Heart it's in the top 3 for anyone.
Oh, I mean, it's an amazing song, and I think the same guy who wrote a lot of Meatloaf songs wrote Total Eclipse of the Heart. But we would put Total Eclipse of the Heart on, me and Mary in the car, and just belt that out like when we're sitting or driving, and then just stick it on repeat, do it again, just what a song, and then even wind down the windows and give it a bit, out the windows. It's but those two for me are, Didn't We Almost Have It All and Total Eclipse of the Heart.
I'd have a lot of Oreo Speedwagon up at the top end of my tier now. I absolutely love them. But then Alana Miles' Black Velvet. That's one when it comes on, you can't help yourself. Like,
yeah, it's about Elvis, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah.
I love Phil Collins' Against All Odds.
Now Gary, that's a lovely power ballad. Yeah, that's a cracker.
And there's some fantastic live versions of that as well.
Yeah.
But I also a bit more modern, even though it's not a new song. Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is a really powerful tune.
Yeah. That's a power ballad, definitely. Yeah, no one's disputing that.
Danny doesn't like it though, does he? You don't like it, do you?
I think it's one of them that when it came out at the time, it got played so much that it got irritating for me, and I've never gone back to it. But it's a great song, but I've never really gone back to it. And also, I remember being on a football trip, and I won't name the person because they'll cringe and probably do themselves a harm with the amount of cringing they'll do. But they sang it on a football trip, and whereas everyone else, when they had to sing their song, took the mickey and whatever, he was channeling Steven Tyler, like he thought he was the fucking business now. And it was, to this day, I still shudder when I think about it. It was absolutely horrid.
Do you remember we done the live show up in Fitzpatrick's? Somebody said to me when I was at the bar, "You have an arse like Steven Tyler." Because I was in all the gear, like. I was fucking delighted.
I mean, I take it as a compliment, Gary. Absolutely, like. But yeah, I've great time for power ballad, a lot of affection. I think when you initially tweeted about it, Paul, Phil O'Connor, friend of the show, mentioned one that it wouldn't be in my top 5, but I know it was extremely popular in the 90s. Bryan Adams, Everything I Do.
So I don't really think that's a power ballad. Like I think
that's a movie soundtrack.
That might be just a ballad.
That's a movie soundtrack. That's what that is.
I don't think there's enough anguish in it to be a ballad. I think for it to be a ballad, you have to be able to. I mean, people listening can't see the actions I'm doing, but yeah, 2 raised fists like in front of your face, like saying, and then push them away, go away from me, and then come back to me, like you have to be able to do those actions. I don't know how to describe those actions I've just done, but it's go away from me, come back to me with 2 closed fists,
Yeah.
And if you can't do that to it, to me, it doesn't. That's the taste test for me of a power ballad. Like, and if you can't screw your face up and look in the mirror and it not look ironic, right?
Yeah,
that's not a power ballad. Like it's all about the sincerity of the singer as well, and they're the taste tests for me.
That's an interesting way of looking at it, because then, and this kind of segues into kind of cover versions, which myself, Gary and Graham had a conversation about recently as well, and we might as well talk about cover versions tonight too. But then, based on what you were saying there, Paul, I'd almost say Patti Smith's version of Because the Night could fall into a power ballad, but Springsteen's version would not.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But see, Patti Smith, the other thing about Patti Smith is too cool for anything she ever did to be a
that's a fair point.
You know what I mean? Like she's too punky, she's too clued in, she's too self-conscious as well. Like, you know, I think there has to be a kind of naffness about, like, Patti Smith never did anything that was naff, you know?
Yeah, fair
She
point.
did loads of stuff that was naff, but she never really did any naff stuff. I think there has to be an element of kind of naffness about the power ballad as well, you know? I think if I was doing karaoke, and I had to do a ballad, I'd probably do Didn't We Almost Have It All? I wouldn't be able to hit any of the notes or anything, you know, but that's the one. I think that's the one I do. And as I'm saying this, I'm remembering when we were kids, right? I don't know if this still happens in Ballybrack. I hope it does. The football club, which was also the youth club and the scout down and everything else in Ashlone Park, they used to have a talent contest every year, right? And, you know, people would go on and, like, it could be just like, you know, 2 6-year-old girls telling knock jokes on the stage, and then somebody's up there singing a song that's way too big for them, you know. And I remember a friend of mine got up and he tried to sing True by Spandau Ballet, right? He was a really good friend of mine, and I said to him, "You're fucking mad. Like, what are you doing?" Like, he said, "No, I love this song." I said, "Just because you love the song, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to pull it off." And it's a pretty tough audience at those talent events, right? Because all the lads, Johnny Moy and everybody be in there, you know, just Johnny Moy be down the back with his crew, and just fucking, you could just see somebody dying on that stage just from the weight of Johnny and his gang stare, you know. And anyway, this friend of mine got up and so true, funny how it seems. And the funny thing was, he had a terrible voice. It was like he found out that night he had a bad voice. Like, he didn't know he had a shit voice, right? Until that moment. And no one in his house said to him, "You have a shit voice." But I could see him stop believing in his performance. He visibly, his body emptied of confidence, like a fucking bucket tipped over. You could just see the confidence flowing out of him, right? And I could tell he regretted starting that song on, I'd say, before the end of the first verse. But he had to go through the whole song then, you know?
Yes.
And the boos. Boo! You're shit! Get off! You're shit! I tell you what, they made and broke a lot of people in Ballybrack, those talent contests. Actually, I correct that. They broke a lot of people. They made no one.
And that's it. You see, those talent shows are not like, I mean, like you said there, your karaoke song would be like, I'd and power ballads. I mean, haven't mentioned Celine Dion yet, but like, it's all coming back to me now.
Yeah.
There's no way I'd sing that at a talent show, but you give me a few whiskeys at a karaoke bar, and and as you said, wouldn't hit the notes. I'd hit a load of notes, none of them be the right ones.
Right, it's like on X Factor, if somebody comes on and says they're gonna do Whitney Houston or they're gonna do, you know, like Beyonce, Simon just rolls his eyes as if to say this is gonna be a fucking shit show because nobody can do that. Yeah, and it never happens that somebody can do it, and there's a reason that those people are unique artists.
What would your karaoke song be, Gar?
Well, I've a very wide repertoire of what I can do on
naturally, of course, yeah.
Karaoke. Obviously, I won a competition in the Gin Mill one Monday night. I done Sam Smith.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. Which would the one from the Bond movie, or?
No, I haven't actually performed that live yet. It was oh Jesus, what was it? I can't think of what it was called. Mero, you have it on your phone.
Yeah.
Is it your ringtone, Mero?
It's absolutely sensational.
But I'm very good.
That was coming to us from the Arctic Circle there. There's Wi-Fi.
I'm very good at Define Young Cannibals. You know Define Young Cannibals?
Ah, brilliant. Yeah. Which one?
Johnny, I'm sorry. Won't you take me home?
That's very good.
Yeah,
that's very good. Gary, are you aware of the Stars in Your Eyes competition that takes place every year? Well, you know, when it's not the zombie apocalypse of COVID. There's a Stars in Your Eyes every year in Fitzgerald's pub in Avoca.
I wasn't aware.
Oh, it's a fantastic competition. I was in Fitzgerald's one day and I was looking at the poster, and a guy came up behind me and he said, "Are you interested in entering?" And I said, yeah. He says, "Who would you do?" And I said, I'm a big Roy Orbison fan, you know. I said, I'd probably do something by the Big O. And he said, "You have no chance of winning. I win it every year." I said, "Really?" I said, who do you do? And he said to me, he said, "I do Elvis. Everybody does Elvis."
Like fucking Father Ted.
Everybody does Elvis.
I've never actually been in that pub.
It's a fine pub.
Yeah. I'll meet you up there when we're fully vaccinated and all that.
Yeah, when we're vaccinated, we'll go boozing there, you know. And even if it's not Stars in Their Eyes night, we might do a number or two.
Yeah.
Gary, I'd just like to say there, when you were singing there, I actually Shazammed, and it came up as Fine Young Cannibal. So I mean, you're perfect.
Yeah,
Shazam,
you see, I'm very lucky. I can hit extremely high notes really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Without having to really warm up. When I won that competition in the gin mill, one woman cried. She enjoyed it that much.
Jesus.
And I've often bumped into her in the town, and she just comes up and shakes my hand and says, "Thanks very much."
You get that a lot in the town, though, Gar, in general, for your services to the community, don't you?
Yeah, it's not something that I seek, but it does happen,
Yeah.
Gary, are you aware? I keep meaning to text you and ask you about that place in the town, right? In Arklow, the Victorian tea rooms.
Yeah, I think that's just an advertising space, Paul.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think that's just a shop front. I don't think there's anything going on in there. And if there is, I would imagine they're drinking the blood of children.
This just went very QAnon, Gary.
Annie, this place is the creepiest thing you ever seen, right? There's
weird.
that ye olde Victorian writing. It just says Victorian tea rooms, and it's all paper doilies, and you know, it kind of evokes images of like, you know, women with too much lipstick and kind of white ankle socks and stuff like that. Whatever happened to Baby Jane? That whole world, you know.
Jesus.
But it would have been out of place in Arklow in the Victorian era. Never mind. Every time I pass it, I go, "What the fuck? Like, what? Who has opened that in Arklow? You know?"
Yeah, I just think it's like a window display pod. I don't think there's anything going on there.
Thank God.
Well, for the record, we should probably state we don't know for a fact that they are drinking the blood of the young. No matter how much it might seem like it from the outside.
Well, I hope if they are, they're the vaccinated young.
We'll be right back to our guest, but first we got to take a quick word from our good friends at Manscaped. We've got good news. They've just launched their peak hygiene plan. Now, this is a little membership portal, lads, and allows you to mix and match all your favourite Manscaped products. And I'm telling you, you want to get in on this because it's going to give you the most hygienic testes in town. Your town halls are going to be superb with this package, alright? So what it allows you to do is to tweak and select all the products that you want. They get shipped to your door directly, hassle-free. You can build a combo any way you want, so you can get a little bit of ball deodorant, a little bit of foot spray, some ball wipes. It allows you to do all of that, and your membership price will stay the same. You even get a free gift sent to you every month. This month, the free gift is foot dust or foot deodorant. Massively important. Nothing worse than coming home from a long day, cracking off the Air Jordan, the smell rises up, hits you in the face, your eyes start to water, the paint starts to peel, your neighbour has to open a window, the dog has ran away from you, your missus is shouting at you, what is wrong with you, did something die in your shoe? None of that will happen when you use this stuff, right? And you get it for free when you subscribe this month. Peak hygiene plan from Manscaped. Head on over manscaped.com, use the code WTSPOD, you'll get 20% off and free shipping. Now, back to our guest.
Is that the voice of Merlo trying to come in there, was it?
Gary,
Yes.
did you actually win that karaoke in the gym?
I did. It was a Monday night. So it was only me and another fella singing. So it was me. I done Sam Smith, and your man done an Ocean Colour Scene song.
Oh.
And you give us a bar of the Sam Smith song.
I can't. Do you remember which song it was? No.
You don't have to be do. You know you're not the only one.
This sounds like a fucking nursing home bingo fucking night. And some one of the punters is after wetting themselves. Fucking hell, Merrill.
I'm not
sure if that was made better or worse by Merrill's Wi-Fi issues, but
do you know what it did? It gave it a bit of a. Remember, Cher did the. Do you believe in life after love? Oh, yeah. It was that kind of tweaky, kind of electronic sound. That's what it was.
It went like Daft Punk, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know. I don't know the words though. I was just humming it.
It's a fine excuse, Graham, and if you want to stick to that, that's okay.
Thank you.
Gary, we talked recently about cover versions as well, and like there's some absolute amazing cover versions out there. What would be some of your favourites now?
I love. Well, have you ever seen "The Rain" has been covered by so many different people, and it's an amazing song. I love the song. I love Creedence Clearwater Revival's version of it. Yeah, fantastic. Willie Nelson actually does a gorgeous version of it as well. But I remember, Jesus, about 10 years ago, and I've searched the internet high and low for it. Damien Dempsey was on Spin 103.8 one night, which I know sounds mental. But he was. And do you remember Cheryl Cole had a song, Fight for This Love?
I remember it well, yeah.
Now, I don't know if she was Cole or Tweedy or what the fuck she was at the time. But Damo done a version of that. It was about 3 minutes long, and it was mind-blowing. But I could never find it again.
That particular song has a special place in my heart after last year. At the height of COVID, when Italy was at its worst and lockdown had kicked in for them, somebody done a video of a load of people in a big apartment block in Italy out on their balconies all clapping and singing, and somebody dubbed it with a live version of Cheryl Cole's Fight for This Love. Cheryl Cole retweeted it saying, absolutely amazing, I'm in floods of tears.
Creedence Clearwater Revival, have you ever seen "The Rain?" is absolutely amazing. I love Oasis's version of "I Am the Walrus."
Yeah, actually, I've heard it a few times over the years now, and it's not bad. Like it's.
But like cover versions are brilliant because you're not expecting. Like I remember Kasabian done a cover version of "Sweet Escape" from Gwen Stefani, and it was absolutely amazing.
You know. In a similar vein, Manic Street Preachers do "Umbrella" by Rihanna, and it's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. I hope people listening today now have the Spotify out and they're building themselves a little playlist, because there's a few gems being thrown out here.
Some cover versions are actually bigger than the originals.
Yeah.
I like for instance, "Hallelujah" by Jeff Buckley is. I mean, the original is terrible. Like it's
the Leonard Cohen one.
The Leonard Cohen version it sounds like a fucking, like the that kind of incessant beep that comes from an intensive care fucking machine, it's anyway. Jeff Buckley just invested it with so much personality, and the mad thing about "Hallelujah" is when whatever the album is that's on, whatever Jeff Leonard Cohen album it's on, when it came out, it was actually universally slagged off as the dud on the album, like the worst song on the album, And another one that's like that is "Let You Feel My Love." Is that what it's called?
Yes, yeah.
But Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And "Make You Feel My Love." You can actually hear when in Bob Dylan's version, I can't remember what album it's on. It's on one of his 70s or 80s albums. Anyway, you can actually hear he doesn't really believe in the song. And when it came out, Rolling Stone said it was terrible. Like they just said, it's like full of greeting card sentiments, and it's got a terrible tune, a mawkish tune. And you would never have said at the time, that's going to be the song that's covered by, you know, who covered it? Rebecca Ferguson, Adele. Like about 20 people have covered that and done better versions than Bob Dylan, you know.
That's it. We've lost Merlo temporarily. His Wi-Fi is acting a maggot. I'm at the moment, and I don't know. I know I talk Springsteen up a lot, but there's 2 cover versions by Springsteen that I would put out there as being among the best cover versions ever. His version of Rhinestone Cowboy, the Glenn Campbell song, is fucking incredible. It's amazing. It's perfect. It's pitch perfect for me.
Yeah.
And he does a version of Purple Rain.
All right. Okay.
Which is, it's on he released an album there a few years ago. It's literally just cover versions, and Purple Rain is on it, and it's fucking brilliant.
Very good.
And Purple Rain now, that of all the songs to try and, do you know what I mean, like Prince now, but my God, he fucking it's a brilliant version of it.
I was at an Ian Brown gig in circa 1999. He brought out his first solo album, Unfinished Monkey Business. But he done, it was in the Olympia, and he done Thriller from Michael Jackson. And when I tell you that every hair on my head, shoulders, neck stood up, it was absolutely amazing. Now, he put it on his next album, but he slowed it down and kind of put too much bass in it. It was shit. But the live version, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, there's some that do, like, the other one that always stands out, and I think Trent Reznor has more or less said it's not my song anymore, but Johnny Cash Hurt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's when it comes to cover versions, that kind of sets the bar, you know.
Amy Winehouse's Valerie is better than the Zootons Valerie as well.
Amy Winehouse, yeah.
Mary, or Danny, you just mentioned Bruce Springsteen. He has a cover version of a song called "Dream Baby Dream." I don't know if you heard that.
Yes, yeah.
And that's by a band called Suicide, and they were a punk band. And I heard him play that at the I can't remember. It was probably still called the Point Depot about 15 or 16 years ago. And it was his encore. It was his encore song, and he just had this like small like Yamaha, or it wasn't a Yamaha organ. It was like a little mini church organ or something. There's a word for it, and I just don't have the language. But the build up to it took about, I'd say it was like 5 minutes. It was like somebody playing the bagpipes. He was tuning this fucking thing up, like, you know, it was like, he was making this thing sing. And then he just launches into Dream Baby Dream. Come on and dream baby dream. And it was like listening to a hymn, and then it just builds up. I just want to see you smile. Come on and dream baby dream. And it went on for about 15 minutes. And I think when he came out for the encore, a lot of the people there were, I hope he plays something not Born in the USA. You know, Springsteen fans, and I hope he doesn't play Dancing in the Dark. And he yes, right. And it went on for about 15 minutes, and everybody was just fucking spellbound, like, you know. It was just, and I listen to that still about once a week. It's fucking amazing, like, you know. And again, he made it his own, you know. And people weren't, when they were leaving, they weren't saying, "Play Dancing in the Dark." You know, they'd forgotten about Dancing in the Dark. Fucking payment. Fucking 40 euros for a ticket. She didn't pay anything on Born in the USA. Fucking disgrace.
He released that on an album there a couple of years ago, actually. I can't remember what the name of the album was, but it's very, very good. The lads are gone.
But you know the way sometimes fucking band, right, will get a song and they will do such a shit cover of it, it will ruin it for you forevermore, right? And CeeLo Green, right? I mean, CeeLo Green is fine, okay? But CeeLo Green did a version of John Lennon's Imagine.
Oh, Jesus.
And nobody can cover Imagine, right? Because nobody can convey sincerity singing them fucking lyrics, right? That it's too. Lennon's probably the only one who could got away with it. In anyone else's mouth, that song just sounds so schmaltzy and, you know, over sentimental. And CeeLo Green, the version was terrible, right? But he did something that, in my view, was totally unforgivable. He changed the words, right?
Oh God!
So the line "and no religion too" for me is the fucking greatest line in the song, right? But they didn't want to offend religious lunatics, right? Of course. They took the liberty of changing it to "and all religions too."
Ah, fuck off. CeeLo can get in the bin.
I'm wrong. "And all religions true" was the line he sang.
Oh, that's even worse.
Well, so wangy.
You know, just fuck off, CeeLo. You're off the list.
And I thought the worst thing to happen to Imagine was when all the celebrities last year tried to do a version of it as part of the whole, you know, we're all in this together COVID thing.
Yeah.
And Gal Gadot was one of the ringleaders on that. And to be honest, Richard, she should be put up for crimes against humanity, I think. But it's a different story for today.
Who's this, Danny?
A load of Hollywood actors and actresses.
I don't remember, but who's the woman you mentioned there?
Gal Gadot, you know, from Wonder Woman.
The original?
Sounds like a fucking dessert.
Oh, Jesus.
Do you want a tea or coffee? No, I'll have the Gal Gadot again, please.
Oh, God.
See, that version of Imagine proved it. It's impossible to sing that song with any degree of sincerity, right? Anymore. Because John Lennon did it, and now it just sounds ridiculous. Like, it's like, do you ever hear Billy Connolly does that? Billy Connolly has a great riff about USA for Africa, you know, singing, you know, "We are the world, we are," and they get to the bit where they go, "There are people dying," and they've all got big smiles on their faces because it's the world of American rock and roll, like, and they are so fucking distanced from people dying, they can't even bring themselves to look miserable when they're singing about people dying, you know.
But sure, in the British one, it was like, "Thank God it's," what is it?
Thank God it's them instead of you.
Yeah.
See, I think the British one was forgivable, right? Because Geldof and Midor wrote it like on the back of a cigarette packet in the taxi outside while they're waiting for the studio to open, and there was something really sincere. It was before you had ads on the telly for donkeys suffering right now. You know, it was before we were awakened to the fact that we should always be setting up direct debits to help people and help donkeys and stuff, you know. So it was a very kind of innocent days when people kind of thought, well, there's nothing we can do about Africa. There's nothing we can do about the third world. It's broken. It doesn't work. We can't fix it. And we're helpless.
A bit like Leitrim.
A bit. Yeah. The broadband, Leitrim and its broadband issues. And then, but Geldof kind of convinced people, no, actually, there is something you can do. So I kind of think any of the fucking lines in that song that sound appalling today are forgivable because everybody's heart was in the right place. But when they did USA for Africa, they knew, you know, you Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, and like they were fucking marquee stars. Like, this was the creme de la menthe of the pop world there, right? And they go into the studio and there's a buffet laid out that's the size of a fucking penalty box, right? All this food, lobsters and all sorts of stuff. And they never ate any of it. Like, it was just put out for them because they all had their own individual riders about what they wanted there. And then they just put it in a fucking skip afterwards, threw it out, like, you know. And so that, I wasn't into that one. But the original, I still get goosebumps when I hear that one, you know. Maybe we should save this conversation till Christmas, should we?
Well, I don't know. I mean, much like Fairy Tale in New York for you would get played during the summer. Like, I mean, if Band Aid randomly popped up now on shuffle on my iPod or whatever, I wouldn't turn it off.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't turn any Christmas song off. But the only one I would actively put on, and we're actually thinking of having a barbecue tomorrow, because the weather's supposed to be nice. I would probably put on Fairy Tale in New York tomorrow. You know, and if we had people here, which we won't, I wouldn't expect anyone to object because they'd be put out.
Graham, that must surely tie into one of your cover versions then in terms of Christie, Graham, does it?
Sorry, say it again, Danny.
That must tie into one of your cover versions then for Christie's version of that.
Yeah, I love Christie's versions, particularly when you're at his Christmas gigs in Vicar Street and he sings it live. But there was a particular version of it doing the rounds on one of those clickbait sites, maybe Love in Dublin or Joe or something like that, and it was him singing it from the Point Depot, and it was lovely. It was on the '94 album Live the Point. But most of Christie's repertoire are covers, like people songs and all. You know, like have you ever heard Paul Weller sing "Black Is the Colour"?
No, actually, I haven't.
It's very good. I know I wouldn't say it's better than Christie's, but it's also not Christie's song. He got it from a singer-songwriter in Scotland. But yeah, when I hear, say, modern day artists sing songs, it's always months later that I find out that it's a cover song, and then I have to go back and listen to the original. It's like you were saying there, 9 Inch Nails Hurt. When Johnny Cash released that, I didn't know it was 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. I remember having an argument with my brother. I think it was not the same, because Johnny Cash released a load of albums at that time with your man Rick Rubin. And I remember having an argument with my brother at the time because he tried to convince me that it was either Solitary Man or One that Johnny Cash had actually wrote one of those two. I was like, no, we didn't. If it was Solitary Man, it was Neil Diamond. If it was One, it was U2. And he's like, no, 100%. Johnny Cash won the original, and that's an acoustic version of it or whatever. I was like, Johnny, you're fucking talking it. And it turned into a blazing row between us. Nonetheless, I was right, as I usually am when it involves an argument with my brother. But anyway, the other one that, and just in terms of Irish artists and cover version, Sinead O'Connor, lads, and nothing compares to you. That's gold standard.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't really class that as a cover version because I think she did something completely different with it, didn't she?
In fairness,
she released the first, didn't she?
Sometimes the cover version is so much better than the original that it's not really a cover version. The original becomes the cover version, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like that. Like Prince. Prince never had a hit of it, did he?
I don't think he did. No,
I think he just wrote it, and she made a hit of it. So it doesn't really feel like a cover version. It kind of feels like an original song.
I tell you what I loved last year, and I didn't expect to love it, but Miley Cyrus singing Zombie was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, I have to say.
I didn't think that could be covered well.
She does a lot of cover. I think in like her concert, she does a section of kind of cover versions. She does Led Zeppelin, Black Dog as well, and it's brilliant.
Oh wow! Right.
Yeah.
Great singer.
Yeah, she's much like Gary. She's got great range.
Just to touch back on Christy Moore for a second, not literally, obviously. I love his. I love when he tweets something from his account. Obviously, it's not him, but he always starts to tweet with "Hello, subscribers."
Hello, listeners.
Hello, listeners.
Or hello, listeners. Just in terms of cover versions as well, Damien Dempsey does a lovely version of "Rainy Night in Soho."
Yeah, I think it's probably better than the Pogues. Controversial, probably.
But just like I remember Paul Howard, who's on this call now, it's
thanks for pointing that out, Gary.
Thanks for pointing that out, Gary.
It's very relevant. I remember about 5 years ago, Paul said that music was being written now in the hope that it gets 30 to 40 seconds airplay on Grey's Anatomy, which is 100% correct. And I think music is now being produced because it might get 30, 40 seconds on fucking TikTok.
Yeah.
Right, and all the music we've spoke about tonight is comfortably 20, 30, 40, 50 years old.
I had that exact pretty much that exact conversation earlier today. I was in the car with Oksana, and we were driving along, and Cutting Crew just died in your arms tonight came on. I said, that's a fucking great, and that's like power ballads or whatever earlier, but I was saying, like, her brother is 21, and I don't think he'll have ever listened to a full album, all the way from track 1 through to track 12 or whatever. They're just not. It's not something that happens anymore. Albums aren't.
They're not making albums to be listened all the way through now. You know, they're making, like, if you look at like most kind of modern songwriters and bands are putting out albums with like 22 songs on them, and that's in the hope that they'll get, you know, 16 of them kids will buy, or maybe if you're a big fan, they'll buy all 22. You know, so they're kind of playing the numbers game. The worst thing that's happened in music for me in the last decade is the emergence of these fucking whiny male singers, like, you know who I mean, don't you? And like Gary mentioned the Grey's Anatomy thing, it is that kind of voice that would get on Grey's Anatomy, you know, this kind of I don't want to just say Gavin James, because he's right, there's a fucking load of them. And what's your man's name, the ginger guy?
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
Can't fucking stand.
Like, there's been so many. I mean, I've nothing against him, but there's just been so many fucking rip-off Ed Sheerans where they're just doing that warbly thing, you know? Can't take my eyes off you. I hate that voice. And it's a sort of generic voice that's poisoning the airwaves. It's absolute poison to my ears, you know? And there's only about... There seems to be only about 4 different types of songs in music today. Like, there's that warbly guy, there's the sort of the upbeat girl guy, there's the sort of boy bandy thing, and then what else is there? There's not. There's the sort of half kind of rappy type thing, you know, in the house, that kind of thing, you know. We're all in the house, saying the name of the band over and over again. Bullshit. That's my take on modern music. So I was listening to, you might have seen me mention this on Twitter. I bought Now That's What I Call Music 1, right, which came out in 1983. And it was the first ever kind of chart compilation to come out, really. Maybe the second or something, but this was really early days. I was just looking at the variety of songs in the charts those days, like, you know. And it's not that they were all fucking humdingers. It's just that there was like 20 different songs in the top 40, different kinds of songs. Like, you had reggae, you had ska, you had power ballads, you had the American thing, Whitney Houston, whatever, you know. You had, you know, a bit of Duran Duran, you'd Spandau Ballet, like Musical Youth. I mean, it's unbelievable variety.
What were you saying, Merlo?
I said that's like the Top of the Pops era. Like, I used to love waiting for Top of the Pops to come on. And you'd have all sorts in the top 20. You'd have, like you were saying there, you'd have like power ballads, you'd have pop, you'd have rock, you'd have everything.
Yeah.
Some great presenters as well.
Who was your favourite character?
Shamas O Seville. Just a quick mention to James Vincent McMorrow's version of Higher Love.
I don't know.
Very good.
Fantastic song. Yeah,
it's sensational.
Yeah. If I'm sanding down any woodwork or anything like that, I like to listen to that song.
Yeah, it's a good woodwork song.
Yeah. It's a preparation song if you're sanding or dusting or filling or anything like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen to it if I was painting now. But if I was doing a bit of prep, like...
Yeah.
Pardon?
What would you listen to when you were painting?
Would you believe I like to listen to movie soundtracks when I'm painting?
Oh.
Yeah.
Motivation, is it?
Any particular type of movie, or?
Absolutely obsessed with, you know that song Streets of Siam? It was in that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Kickboxer, is it?
Yeah, I know Van Damme it was in a movie called Kickboxer, alright.
You know that song, Everybody Loves a Winner.
Well, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Moving down the streets of Siam.
No, but I want to hear more of it now.
Keep going, Gary.
I'm trying to fucking Spotify it here to get the lyrics. Yeah, James Vincent McMorrow Higher Love is absolutely fantastic, and he nails it.
Yeah.
I'm getting a dog trying to shift me on the sly here, lads. Apologies.
You were mentioning there about that you tweeted about now, you bought now. I remember that tweet as well. But you also tweet about supermarket trips. What is the story with all these mad Danny getting licked?
Danny's getting licked by a dog.
There's Lupo now just popping in, all right.
Do you have strange encounters in the supermarket every week, Paul?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. I supermarkets are like airports for me, right? I'm in a state of heightened tension, and when I'm tense, I tend to get into exchanges with members of the public, you know. But there's a few things about supermarkets that really annoy me. I think the thing, probably my two pet hates in life always happen to me at the supermarket, right? Number one, I go into the car park, and the car park in Duns and Cornell's Court, there could be 4 cars in the whole fucking car park, right? And I pull in, I park in the space, and then 5 seconds later, someone comes in, and even though the car park is empty, they take the space right beside me, right? Right beside me. And they open the door, and they bang my door with their door. And I just fit the size of the car park. You park beside me, and you bang my door, right? So that's the first thing, right? Now, I wouldn't be violent or anything like that. I seethe inside at this stuff. The other one is when I get to the checkout, and I'm putting me bits, or I'm getting ready to put me, I'm primed, you know, and then the person in front of me whose bits are going through suddenly goes, "Oh, hang on, would you mind just waiting? And they go off to get a bottle of Nestos or a chicken sandwich,
cunts is what they are,
or something.
Yeah.
And then they come back with 3 items 15 minutes later, and you're standing there like a spare one at a wedding, like, you know. I hate that. Finish your shopping and then go to the checkout, but don't you know? No, I'm not having it.
That one now, that boils my piss as well. Sorry, do you want? I forgot something back in a second.
I'll pop back, yeah.
Yeah, and they go and they get a cup of coffee and the timepiece and Duns and everything at that stage. You know what I mean?
Is that common?
Oh, it would be, yeah. I'd say that happens.
That happens to me once a month. I mean, it happens to me, I'd say it happens once every 3 times I go to the supermarket. Somebody ahead of me isn't actually finishing their shopping. They're just establishing a beachhead by going to the counter, right? By going to the checkout. And half of their stuff is already run through and in the trolley. And then they go off and they say, "Do you know what? I must get a cooked chicken for the week or a cucumber." And off they go. Yeah. And that annoys me a lot. But I think the one you're referring to, Mero, is I was reminiscing the other day about the early days of COVID last year, when we used to have everybody was so fucking panicked about buying stuff that there used to be an hour-long queue just to get into Dunnes stores. You'd be outside like in this snaking queue. And we got into the shop. I was reminiscing about this. This is one of my memories from the early days of COVID. We got into the shop and the announcements, the safety announcement was going on. And it was Brendan Courtney, you know, and he was saying, "Please remember to wash your hands, stay 2 meters distance away from the person," all this kind of thing. And a girl behind me said, "Oh my God, I love Brendan Courtney, but I hope he doesn't become the voice of this thing." That's all.
He still is the voice of Duns.
The thing with fucking
COVID, like, I think she kind of saw Brendan Courtney's being COVID in voice form, you know.
The thing with COVID is, like, when you're going to do the weekly shop, that's the new going out. Like, that's the new.
Yeah.
You know, it's something to do. I had an awful altercation last week, the 11th of March, Thursday, 10 a.m. ish.
This sounds like the start of a police statement.
I went into Aldi in Arklow, got me few bits, no hassle. It was fairly quiet. Got to the checkout. I'm putting my shit on the runway, and
on the runway.
I'm in the Father Brendan Smith position. I'm actually in my trolley getting the stuff out, like I'm leaned into it.
Right.
And the fucking so like with like if like people seem to forget, if you are in a public area and you don't know the other people, to come up to somebody you don't know and ask them something or ask them to move, you don't know who you're speaking to or who you're dealing with, you know. So it's quite a strange thing. So I'm putting up all my stuff, and this fucking yoke comes up behind me and says, "Sorry, I just have 2 or 3 bits. Do you mind if I jump ahead?" And I said, "No, if you're quick, no problem." That was the conversation, and she got up to the cashier and she said something about me, you know, and kind of looked at me, and he looked at me and fucking sniggered as well. And I hate fucking sniggering. I hate being sniggered at. Like, I won't deal with sniggering.
It wasn't about your performance in the karaoke in the Gin Palace, was it? She might have said, "He's the guy who won the karaoke."
I fucking hope not. But I said I'd let you go ahead. Like, what's the problem? And she said something again to your man, like a bit of fucking sniggering. And she said something again. I said, "I let you go ahead of me. Like, I don't know why you keep fucking." She was biting back, you know.
Yeah.
And she kind of sniggered at me. I fucking won't be sniggered at by anyone. And I said, "Look, I shouldn't have used the C word. I said, look, you're being a fucking cunt. I let you go ahead. Like, get on with it and stop talking about me." And the top of her voice, right now, like fucking Pavarotti, she turns around, wants every other fucking punter to hear, "This is how men speak to women in 2021. I said, "It's not." I said, "It's how people speak to cunts like you who have no fucking manners." And she, you know, another few looks now, and she fucked off anyway. Like, she was wearing fucking black sports leggings. She wasn't doing nothing to do with fucking exercise, I can tell you. And anyway, she fucked off. And I said to your man then, the cashier, I said, "You take your fucking time putting that shit through, because I need time to settle." Because
you must have been jangling, were they?
You have about half a square metre with all your stuff on it, and you're trying to get it packed away. It's a fucking nightmare. It's like checking into a hotel in Ethiopia. Like, it's not fucking, there's no logic to it.
What's it like checking into a hotel in Ethiopia?
Just no structure, Mero. There's no structure.
Oh, yeah.
When were you in Ethiopia?
Well, I wasn't, but I know a few people who work over there. Look, it's not about Ethiopia. I'm talking about cunts who fucking don't have common manners.
Does anyone else do this? When I go to the cash desk, right? The checkout desk. I put all my bits on it, right? And then when he's putting them through, I have the bags ready, and I try to pack them away in such a way that when he puts the last item through, it's the only item that has to go in the bag, right? So I have to go as fast as he's boop, 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 putting them through. And I've discovered certain strategies, right? So if I have, say, 2 or 3 bottles of wine, or 9 or 10 since lockdown, right? With the little security seal on it, that slows them up, right? So it takes maybe, 10 seconds for them to, they're belting the fucking thing off to try to get the metal thing off. So I space them out on the conveyor belt, right? So I put all the fruit and veg there. Then I'd give them a bottle to deal with. And then I put maybe, the meats or stuff like that. So that's
very good. That's very good.
So it's kind of like, it's like rugby, actually. It's breaking up the play. So there's all sorts of phases. He has to keep going through the phases as he puts it through. But I always manage this. But I said it to my dad. I said, I do this thing. My dad said, "I do that as well." And I said, "Really?" He said, yeah. He said, "I don't put the booze on, though." He said, "What I do is, if he's going too fast, I get the label off the, the bags of onions, and they have the little label separate, and I scrunch it. So he has trouble getting the barcoder to read it." But that's obviously where I get it from. It's the competitive instinct.
That is fucking brilliant. It's a great.
I like to have a competition with them. I always ask them, "How much do you reckon it'll be?" just as they start scanning.
Oh, that's good.
And we have a little guessing game. And
really?
I always make the same joke. I'll be like, whoever's closest is paying, or whoever's furthest away is paying. And they always look at you as if you've 10 heads, as if you're actually going to ask them to pay for your shopping. Like,
I love dags like that. I do this one, right, around here. I go out when I go out for my walk. If anyone's washing their car or mowing their lawn, right, I always go, you can do mine next.
Yeah.
I thought this was an original until Mary pointed out to me that the people were probably laughing at me behind my back, like, you know, because I always say this, because it's Mary said it's a dad thing to say.
Such a dad cliche, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to carry on doing it because I enjoy it, and I think people get a kick out of it when I do it.
I'm the same, yeah.
When I'm walking the dog, every day without fail, every day I get some outlet going, are you who's walking who? You or him? What?
Yeah.
They're classics for a reason, lads. They're classics for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
Painting was mentioned earlier on, and it would be remiss of us if we didn't. Gary, one of the many hats you wear is that of an interior design expert.
Thanks. Yeah.
And you recently I know now there was heated words after last week's episode. We won't finish this podcast without Graham's accusations towards you last week being addressed. Don't worry, that's noted and it will be taken care of.
Well, I just start by saying that Gary is a design genius, and he took on the project of creative director for the redesign of my bedroom, and he can take over from here.
Yeah, like Mero's bedroom before the project started, he had a white ceiling, traditional white ceiling, and he had like a Burmese ruby red colour on his walls. But with him working from home, what are you sniggering at? With him working from home, and obviously lockdown and stuff, he wanted to create something different in the room.
Yeah.
So I said, look, leave it with me, send me the measurements and stuff, and I'll have a think about what we could do here. So I wanted to make it modern. I wanted to make it feel like a bigger room. I wanted it to be stylish. I wanted it to, when he's back playing Tinder again, that when he brings the punters back, you know, they're drawn into the room, you know. They're not thinking, Jesus, am I going to be stuck in here now if he doesn't let me out? So we went with a gorgeous colour trend colour called Dragonfly Wing on the ceiling. It's a dark teal colour. And you can say, a lot of people say to themselves, dark colour on a ceiling, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
We went with an off-white on the walls. So what we did was we made the ceiling appear higher and longer, but we made it appear more stylish and warmer.
Yeah. I saw it for the first time tonight, Gary, and like gorgeous isn't a word I'd be in the habit of using a lot, you know, especially to describe interior design. But gorgeous was the first word that came to my mind when I saw it. Absolutely beautiful, really tasteful. Clean lines, and the kind of room you wouldn't mind spending a bit of time in, you know.
Absolutely,
even if Mero did bolt the door.
But no, he's very happy with it.
Gary, what the red sounds like? It was like a boudoir or something, was it?
It was an absolute. It had the Tinder logo on one of the walls as a feature. And a QR code that if you scan your phone, you go straight to Mero's profile. But no, it was a great project, and Jennifer's delighted with it. I loved the fact that Mark had an episode when he seen the 2 tins of paint. He thought there wasn't enough paint. Where the fuck did you buy that? And this, that, and the other. And then he was blown away by the product. And as I said to Mero, you know, like anything in life, you get what you pay for. And he paid for good paint, and he got an absolutely stunning finish.
My dad executed it well. Is that right, Gary?
Visually, to the likes of yourself, it's fine.
To the uneducated eye.
Yeah, which is fine. Like if, let put it this way: if he had went out to Bolton Street in the '80s to serve his time, they might have said he's better off working in a factory or something. But no, he done well. He done okay. Well, like he doesn't have the finesse, but that's not his fault.
He'll love you for this, Gary.
I know. Look, he's a great person, but
I concur with Gary. Ever since the project came to the painting completion, I feel like a new person, and I'm so grateful for Gary for taking on the project of creative director and advising on the color scheme, because we really
put up a before and after picture, because that before one, just from Gary's description of it, sounds like you were living in a womb or something. Like, it sounds really, really horrendous.
Well, it was very dark and it was very close, and now it's very bright and it's very open.
Yeah.
Would you say, Maro, you're hornier since the new colours were put in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He'll do that to you.
I've a spring in my wheels.
Very good. Yeah.
Gary, is it just the interior design that you're lending your skills to, or have you considered, because obviously you worked with a well-known wedding planner for your own nuptials and that kind of thing, but have you thought much about branching out into the wedding world?
When I got married, and Frank done the wedding. Paul, you're aware Frank done my wedding, are you?
I didn't know that, Gary. No.
Yeah, he did.
Right.
It's been syndicated worldwide, Gary, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, HBO bought the rights to it, but they haven't really done anything with it since 2013. What the fuck is he? What are you laughing at now, Mero?
HBO bought the rights to Frank?
Yeah. Frank's DIY Brides.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Gary, can I ask, because fill me in on this, they filmed the whole process of your wedding, did they?
Yeah, it was we got married December 2011 and it aired May of 2012.
Okay.
And Christmas of 2012.
Yeah.
And then summer 2013.
Right.
I
wasn't aware of this. And can I ask, did you feel watching it that it was a proper showcase for you?
On my word of honor, he went above and beyond for us.
Yeah.
We done a winter wonderland theme.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so when Gemma was coming up the aisle, it started snowing in the room. I don't mean cocaine, I mean artificial snow out of the sky.
Unlike what our Ballybrack weddings, yeah.
It's just gorgeous ice sculptures and Christmas trees and stuff. But he brought extra stuff, and it was absolutely fantastic. But
wow.
From somebody who has an interest in design to work alongside somebody like him, it was absolutely fantastic. It was amazing.
So he has a good eye then. Like he's got,
Paul, he's out of this world. Like he's head of events for Warner Brothers in Europe. Like,
wow. Right.
So when not now with COVID, but when you see these big movie premieres in London, like he oversees all that. And
yeah.
He did Delaney's 50th, didn't he?
Pardon?
He did John Delaney's 50th.
That's right, yeah. It was a James Bond theme.
Yeah. Poor John Delaney, huh?
Fuck him.
Poor old John. But so when you were talking about donating to donkeys, I thought he set up a GoFundMe or something.
So Gary, would you get involved in the wedding planning or that kind of thing? Would you like to do another one?
Well, I done an 18-month course, as you know, in 2015. Event planning. And I've been asked to plan a few weddings, and I suppose like if I don't believe in it, I won't do it. Like, and I was approached by two blind people to plan a wedding, and this isn't a joke. But like there would have had to be a lot of braille activities and stuff, and and I couldn't commit to it. But it could be something that I veer into in the future. Like, I'm not ruling it out.
Was it the braille that put you off guard, or was it just your heart wasn't in it?
Well, what do you do? Like they're gonna have blind friends. God loves them, and how do you entertain them?
How do you impress them?
Yeah, like what do you put a fucking Monopoly board on each table? I don't know.
That lad, sorry. Oh my god. So what would
Danny's gone. Danny is gone.
I'm fucking sweating laughing. Oh my god. Would that guide dogs have been involved?
I didn't mean, like, I'm not sniggering at blind people, Jesus.
No. Oh, no, of course not.
None of us are, but we can all picture the image of the guide dog saying, "The ice just shit, by the way."
Like, obviously the slow set, the first dance would be a Stevie Wonder tune and whatever.
Ray Charles doing the ceremony music. Oh Jesus! So it didn't. Did they get married in the end? You know, did they live happily ever after?
I don't know. They blocked me off all the relevant applications, right. WhatsApp, Twitter, all that, and I never really heard from them again. But no, look, it is something I'm going to do in the future. Good friend of mine, he's actually a salmonizer now.
Oh, very good.
Now, he's obviously very quiet at the moment because people aren't getting married and stuff, but it's something that I could branch into in the future.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's we recently booked our solemnizer for our wedding, and seems like a lovely bloke. Had no idea he was on the radio or anything like that, but apparently he's one of the people that does Christmas FM and everything. And
it's not Owen McDermott, is it?
It's no, I believe he's
not on the radio anymore. That's
no,
right.
he's busy with a few other things at the moment. I think he's preoccupied. Now a guy called Cian Harley. He's based in the borough. Seems like a lovely guy. Yeah, seems nice. Yeah. So
it's gas.
Give up your current job to go into interior design full time.
No, like I'm very much a believer in you have to function for what works in the present moment. Yeah. And what I do at the moment absolutely works. So I couldn't go back into it. But I always said, you know, if I was to win the Euro Millions, I would open up an interior design / paint store company. 100%. Paul, I have such a passion for it. Like,
Paul, how often do you redesign your house?
Not often. No, not often at all. I kind of I got a bit scared off it a few years ago. I'm not particularly good at it. Like, you know, I'm not good at painting. My eye, I've got one good eye and then one honky eye. So sometimes, my taste is either very, very good or very fucking bad, right? So I get things completely right or disastrously wrong. So we had a situation in the house here about 15 years ago where I saw this, and I'm laughing as I say this. I saw this what colour? It was a dark green. Gary, give me some shades here. Give me something to describe this. Like it was like fir trees. Fir. Like a fir tree. Anyway, I painted the whole.
Gary, I think we've lost Gary, have we?
No.
Oh, he's over here. He's getting a cup of tea.
Because he's gone to the other side of the room, yeah.
Gary, this colour was a dark green. Anyway,
it wasn't Collins green, was it? Dulux Collins green.
It was very dark. That's all I remember.
Like
right?
a bottle green, like.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, Gary. So I painted the whole stairs and landing in it, right? And Mary had said to me beforehand, "It's too dark. It just won't work." Anyway, I blazed on, regardless, painted it. At the end, I couldn't walk out until I stayed in the bedroom for about 3 days because I couldn't go out on the landing because it was giving me a headache every time I looked at it, right?
Oh, no, there's nothing worse.
I'm flicking through the Dulux calendar, and Mary wasn't here at the time. And I thought, well, I need to cover my mistake with something before she comes back, right? So I saw this room that was painted in this kind of dark blue, and I covered the green with this dark blue, and it took about 300 coats to cover the green. The whole stairs and landing shrank. There was so much paint on the walls. I took about 3 square meters off the room. Anyway, that was worse, right? That was absolutely worse. And I remember it depressed me so much. Liverpool won the Champions League against AC Milan, and I was watching it over in my friend Declan Lynch's house here, and I came back and I walked in, and the whole house was dark blue, and I started painting at about 11 o'clock at night, and I finished at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I just painted white over it. And that was the end of me. And it kind of put me off any kind of paint decorating for a few years, But then the house just started looking really shabby, and we just started painting rooms. And
you must have took half an E, Paul, did you? 11, you got home at 11 and started painting till 6 in the fucking morning.
Yeah, it was just you see, Liverpool winning the Champions League that night, I would say, excited me, Gary.
Full of adrenaline.
I was pumped up. Like I was like one of the players. I'd say the players afterwards, they couldn't sleep, so I couldn't sleep either. So I had a couple of brandies, and then I started slopping institution white emulsion on the walls, But in the end, I had to get a painter from Ballybrack called Elton, who does all our painting and decorating here. And
Elton Hickey, is it?
Yeah, Elton. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does all our bits here, and I make a bit of a mess. That's the other thing, Gary. So I paint, and certain people will be kind of looking at the floor, at the mess I've made of the floor, And I always say it's like going to the Sistine Chapel and Michelangelo going, "What do you think of the fucking ceiling?" And someone saying, "There's a few flecks on the dresser there." It's fucking genius up above your head there, man.
Lads,
I can't do it. It doesn't excite me. Having it done excites me, but the actual process of doing it, I think I'd nearly rather hoover.
Yeah, no, you see, I go balls deep if I'm doing a room, it's fucking precision. It's the color has to be spot on. It has to be the lines have to be bang on. It's actually like a compulsive disorder.
But you're Gary, if you don't mind me saying this, right? You're a perfectionist in everything you do. Like when it comes, decorating, cooking, everything. You are, you're not a dabbler. When you want something to be right, it'll be right.
That's a very fair remark, and it's something that I'm very proud to hear.
That's just an observation, looking from the outside. But you do have a passion for whatever you're doing. It's a nice thing, I'd shoot the paint out of a fucking gun on the wall and leave it at that.
So Gary, when you hear those kind remarks from Paul, and then you contrast that then to the comments Graham Merrigan made last week on last week's podcast regarding you and your culinary skills, would you care to comment on what Graham said.
Well, I thought it was fucking disgusting. It was just disgusting remark. Paul, the two lads done a podcast last week.
Yeah.
And my cooking come into it. I wasn't on the show.
Oh, so you'd no right to reply, Gary?
No. And fucking Alan from The Hangover there, fucking, he said to Danny, do you honestly think he does all that fucking cooking? He could, if he's doing he had a go, like he was sniggering, he was questioning me.
Yeah.
He got a fucking design of his bedroom done for free.
Yeah.
Yet he's more than happy to give the boot, a week later. That's the kind of person we're dealing with here.
Yeah. It does seem a bit unfair. And is that why you're on tonight as a right to reply?
Well, I would like for tonight for it to be withdrawn.
Yeah.
Well, in my defence, Gary took on the project of creative director of redesigning my room, and because of first-hand experience of how well he did on that project, I haven't eaten any of Gary's food, so I apologise.
Will you with remarks like that?
This is a terrible apology, Mero.
That's a mealy-mouthed reply.
Why don't you just say, I'm not the person today that I was a week ago. I've grown a lot since then. I would hate for people to listen to them comments and think that was a reflection of who I am today. Just say sorry to the guy, Mero.
Exactly.
Gary, I'm sorry.
That's fine, Graham, and we'll move on. But be warned, if you're ever on the property ladder, do not come near me for colour.
You don't mean that.
I'm just marking your fucking card.
He's marking your colour card.
He doesn't mean that. He loves me, really.
Gary,
I won't be sniggered at if I'm not in the presence of people. Just be aware of that.
Gary, I'd like it now that I'm still very much looking forward to the come dine with me that we had planned some time ago.
Oh, absolutely. I'll do my monkfish Valavant.
It sounds stunning.
They sound gorgeous.
Mm.
I've just had a picture sent to me. You know the walrus that was appeared down in Kerry?
Yeah.
I've just had a picture sent to me with Gordon Elliott sitting on it.
Jesus. The internet's never far off, is it? It's always
That's great. You can't beat it.
I didn't know the walrus came line off Kerry.
Yeah.
It was somewhere over the west. I don't know where. Fucking is Limerick in the west? It might have been in Limerick.
Yeah.
He's probably responsible for fungi.
What?
Fungi.
Fungu.
Fungu is sushi, isn't it? Far from fungu, you were rare.
Oh, fuck.
Mero has the fungu under his foreskin, I'd say.
Lads, we haven't even got around to talking about how much we all hate Paddy's Day in Cheltenham.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're nearly an hour and a half in here.
But can I just say for the record, I hate Cheltenham. Yeah. And I hate Paddy's Day.
Excellent. Yeah, I wouldn't be far behind you now.
I concur 100%.
I've no time for Paddy's Day. None.
Yeah. And Cheltenham is just Bloomsday for pricks, isn't it?
Do you know what blows my mind about Cheltenham, right? And bear in mind, I work in the industry. Like, I can't fathom a lot of things about horse racing, but I cannot fathom people taking a week off work, right?
Yeah.
To lose money.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely remarkable. It's some logic.
Everything about it's remarkable. You've got bookies on the radio giving you tips as if it's in their fucking interests for you to take money off them. You know? Like, they're actually part of the mainstream. They're giving you tips saying this would be a good thing to put your money on. Put your money on this horse. And it's all fucking rigged anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I a number of years ago, and I couldn't tell you how many, but I remember the names Cotto, Star and Denman. Yeah. So if that means that to horse racing people, they might be able to put a year on it. But I remember trying to get into Cheltenham because I'd have mates and my brother would be watching it or whatever, and it's all right, grand. And I remember we done a little kind of pool where we all threw in, say, 20 quid. And we agreed on, right, on day one, we'll throw this, we'll do our bets based on the pot of money or whatever. And one year it worked great. It was fucking fantastic. But I think it was beginner's luck or something, because every year since, I think the lads have turned they've been a loss, but they're still convinced that every year will be the big win, like, you know.
You see, it's the bullshit around it that boils my piss.
Yes.
You know, like it's the fucking, like, I look at people and they'd stand there looking at the newspaper for 2 hours and they'll be fucking talking shite about the weights and the fucking distance the horse ran the last time and all this shite, right? And they'll back a loser. Then they'll turn around after the race and go, sure, he was always going to win it because it's fucking this, that, and the other. It's such a bullshit. It's a bullshit sport, and it's a bullshit. I would just be a little bit careful here. It's a bullshit industry, like
99%.
Tribune, right? We'd be in the sports department, you know, and there was a certain personality type worked in the advertising department upstairs, you know, and they were kind of there was a sort of gang of spivs there, you know, with the fucking suits and the pointy shoes and everything, you know, and the slicked hair and all that kind of thing. And you'd never see them from what, like, they would just sort of, you know, saunter around the building, and they'd never come near the sports department. And then Cheltenham week, the sports department was just like a magnet for pricks, like, you know, these lads say, hey guys, any chips, guys? Any chips? And like, none of us really had any interest in horse racing. We wouldn't even have the telly on, you know. They'd switch the telly, they put the telly on, or if it was on, you know, 3 or 4 of them would congregate. Yeah, this guy's good actually. I backed him at Fairyhouse last year, and one of us would get the remote control and fucking switch it off. Like, but you do it surreptitiously. You'd have the remote control up your sleeve and just press the off button, and they'd be looking around wondering why the telly had gone off, you know. And then they'd all clear off, you know. But that's what it was like. It just drew it. The Cheltenham drew arseholes into the sports department who wouldn't ordinarily have gone in there, you know. And they were for me, that sums up Cheltenham, you know. You know. And then those type of men, middle-aged men, like, you know, who go to Cheltenham, you know, in their droves, like, even when there's a pandemic on and they're told people may die as a result of you going to Cheltenham and coming back and bringing your thing back with you.
And many thousand did.
Yeah. And they didn't give a fuck either, like, you know.
I remember one year, me and a friend, it was years ago, and remember the phone apps used to be able to control the tellies. Once you put in the make of the telly, we were in the IGO in Ballybrack, and Cheltenham was on, and a big race was on, and there was loads of people gathered, and they were like, "Well, hit him," talking, shouting to the jockey, and me and Barry Earls turned off the telly. There was fucking murder.
I think 99% of the bets I've ever placed on a horse race, be it the Grand National or whatever it is, if I've ever placed a bet on things, it's had fuck all to do with any of the so-called smart information or whatever. It's being based on the name of the horse and the name of the horse alone.
Like, you know, this is the whole thing, like with gambling. Like gambling should be, if you are going to gamble, it should be, say, a bit of fun, right? My idea of gambling is to put on, and I don't really gamble, but you should be, like, gambling, you spend the absolute bare minimum to win the absolute maximum, right? So if I see somebody spending €1 to try and win 50 grand, that's gambling. If I see somebody putting 100 quid on a dog to get back 170, that's a gobshite.
Yeah.
See, it's mad though, because there's fellas then who, and I'm going to say game the system for want of a better term here, because the system will always win, or the house will always win, or whatever. But there's fellas who will look at a sport, say, and not horse racing, but something that would be, say, slightly easier to predict with the variables, like, say, basketball or motorsport or those kind of sports, where there's certain elements that are more so in the favour of the punter. And there's fellas who will, they'll make it there. Like at the moment over in America, March Madness is about to kick off, which is a massive college basketball thing. And there's fellas who will make their entire year's salary on these 3 weeks of basketball because they watch and they live and die by college basketball alone. So they're ahead of the fellas setting odds in a way. You know what I mean? Like they're anoraks for this stuff.
Okay.
And it would be the same then with, say, your NASCAR in America, based on certain tracks. And
Danny, if you don't mind me saying, if you look at your brother John, I would regard your brother Jono as a good gambler.
I think he'd probably put himself in that bracket as well. I think he'd call himself a smart gambler in the sense of he'd never go chasing money.
Yeah, he's out. He's up every 12 months. He
keeps a spreadsheet, you know.
Yeah, he keeps a spreadsheet of all the sports, all the performances, all the form, all the money that he's put in, all the money he's lost, and all the money he's won. So
see that to me, that's like to what Gary was saying though. To me, that's not gambling. That's, I don't know what that is. I wouldn't have the patience nor the brain capacity to even try to do that. But I'd be with Gary.
Danny, does that take away your enjoyment of sport, right? And like I bet very little, right? But there's been matches where, you know, say if we've been part of a sweep or something, and I have to score a 3-1 and it's 3-0, and I'm not actually enjoying the match. I'm just fucking wanting to see another goal go in, just so I get 3-1. I've always found it kind of ruins my enjoyment of sport. Except I used to bet on the national every year, and then I stopped betting on the national about 7 years ago when that horse didn't want to run and they made him run and he died. They shot him on the course. They humanely euthanized him. And I just said after that, it was just too cruel for me, like, you know. But as for the other stuff, like the football and stuff like that, if I had a bet in the match, it would just ruin the match for me. And I kind of think a lot of gamblers, they're not really sports fans, they're odds fans.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Like, if I put a bet on the football, I wouldn't even bother doing something on the score. I'd be more likely to go, do you know what? I fancy, I don't know, fucking Wan-Bissaka to get booked tonight. And but like what you're saying, then, if the match is a bit shit, and it tends to be when United are playing, unfortunately, these days, but by the hour mark, I'd be like, would he not just fucking lunge into a tackle here to give me a bit of joy? Would he not just upend some fella for me, like?
Yeah, I'd love to text from you, Danny. I'm waiting on so-and-so to get a yellow card.
You know, but that's what it becomes. If the match is decent, I don't care. But then if the match is a bit shit, I start getting a bit kind of like, Jesus, now I'd love if Luke Shaw just fucking upended somebody now. That'd make me night, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think you're right when you say that. Kind of, some people be more odds fans. They'd look at it and they'd think that's an opportunity as opposed to looking forward to the match later or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's like everything in life. If you drink too much fizzy drinks, you're gonna have bad teeth.
Or wind, Gary.
Or wind, you know. Self-discipline and knowing your limits and knowing what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing to function your life. If you're going to be irresponsible with anything, it will chew you up. So, cop the fuck on, you know. Don't take £100 out of the bank to put on a dog if you can't afford to.
Yeah,
definitely, yeah. And Paddy's Day is just a load of shite then, as far as I'm concerned. But in terms of the two, I think
Paddy's Day is for the Irish outside of Ireland, I think.
Yeah, I was in New York for Paddy's Day a few years ago, right? And I had this myth about Paddy's Day in New York where the whole city came to a standstill to celebrate the role that Irish people had played in building America and building New York. That's what I thought. I thought everybody. And I discovered that it was about as much loved as if you're on the M50 and there's two fellas in sulkies racing horses in the lane ahead of you, and everybody's going, what is going on? That's what was happening. People were looking at each other and shaking their heads. Fifth Avenue was closed. So everybody in the city, it's a normal day for everybody else. And they're wandering around. They're trying to get from here to there. And they're trying to work out, you know, if that road is closed, does that mean, does that mean I can't get the subway from there? So I'm going to have to walk 6 blocks. And all you can hear in the city is people cursing the Irish for their day. Like, I didn't feel any goodwill towards Ireland, the Irish. In fact, I pretended to be English that day. I put on the Grange Hill, Tucker Jenkins accent that I had when I was 8 years of age and grown up in England. And, I just kind of, do what, mate? Just walked around the city, just pretended to be British. I might have even said some anti-Irish stuff.
It's for people who have a 99 in one hand and a pint of Smithwick's in the other. Just fucking go home.
Yeah. I've never been to a Patrick's Day parade, and I've no intention of ever going to one. None.
Can I say something here? Because for me, it's not just Paddy's Day. I have a problem with, right? I don't feel anything when I hear the Irish national anthem. Nothing. Right?
Yeah.
I don't feel anything when somebody asks me, are you proud to be Irish or anything like that? And I know I'm unusual in that, but nationalism just does nothing for me whatsoever.
No, I'm the same, Paul. The only time I was ever proud to be Irish was when we all fucking stood up and told Irish Water to fuck off. Apart from that, I mean, I was in Australia and I told a lot of people about Hicks Pudding. That was about fucking it. I didn't tell them about being Irish.
Yeah.
Hicks Pudding is definitely something that should be sent around the world as far as I'm concerned. But I'd be the same when it comes to... See, I don't know. The national anthem to me is a non-event. It's a non-runner, like, because national anthems should begin and end with France and Scotland. They got it right. Those two anthems are, and especially if you're in a stadium and you hear them in the flesh, it's fucking unbelievable. And then, a bunch of lads kind of mumbling the parts of the fucking hour on the vein they don't fully know or whatever, and then it gets to the end and they can't wait for the last 2 lines and they just start shouting, "Come on, Ireland,"
I respect that, really, because the words of Our On the Vein are so terrible anyway. Like, it's a war song, I think the whole thing should be just "Come on, Ireland." If you're going to go for it. But I don't know. For me, nationalism, it's just a fucking 19th century thing. It does nothing for me. And that might be something to do with the fact that I grew up in England and then moved to Ireland. But I remember I was going to an Ireland match once, and I had. My mad made me a tricolour, she'd sewed together. She got the fabric from Hickey's and made me a tricolour. And I got off early from school, and actually Johnny Moy was with me. We were going off, and Stephen Brown from Ballybrack, and we all had our tricolours like pinned around us, like we were wearing them like capes, And Mr. Heaney, the history teacher, came out, and he started laying into us about disrespecting the flag, and I didn't feel I was disrespecting the flag. In fact, I got loads of autographs all over the flag. Like, I had people, Liam Brady, writing on it and stuff like that, and it never would occur to me that this was some fucking sacred artifact or something, And I just kind of felt people...
It's fabric.
It was Vicky's, yeah. It was shiny, so the autographs always washed off in the rain. So the next day you'd be saying to lads, I got Liam Brady, and then you looking at it, go, fuck, Liam Brady last night was there, I swear. But none of that ever did anything for me. Like, proud to be Irish, all that kind of thing. Yeah. I always just felt it felt a bit put on or something, And that's why I think that's why I hate international football breaks as well, like,
being like people who bang on about being proud to be Irish, they're like people. And Jesus, I had a phase of it, but they love the Wolf Towns, and they go to Wolf Towns gigs with Celtic jerseys, and they shout up the Ra 10 to 12 in the evening, and they probably have a machine gun tattoo on their back.
Is this a dig at you, Merrill?
I was waiting for that.
He's getting you back, isn't he, after the comment last week about the cooking?
Gary was more into the Wolf Towns than me.
Merrill has a BB Baskin tattoo. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Where is it, Merrill?
On his arse.
Yeah,
Empty basket. Fucking hell.
It's something I never really got into. And the whole I like Ireland and I like Irish people because I'm from there. So that's kind of the extent of it. I feel like we're a great bunch for a bit of crack, but at the same time, I'm kind of like there's that whole thing of an international football. I hate this thing of we're great fans, we're the best fans in the world, and I hate all that kind of bullshit. I'm like, it's a fucking football match. Go away and stop with your nonsense kind of thing. I don't like what was it from the Euros a few years ago and I remember kind of like videos going viral and all that a bit of crack's a bit of crack and all, but I just kind of thought like it's a football tournament. Like I don't give a fuck about cheering some well, I don't know, like there was videos going around of like lads cheering when women came out at fucking Victoria's Secret or whatever, like.
Yeah.
The best bit of the last international tournament was when the Russians were kicking the fuck out of the English, and the English shit the bed and start teaming up with the Welsh, and they were singing, "We're England and Wales, we're England and Wales, fuck off Russia, we're England and Wales." No, you shit the bed, lads. That's what happened. And I think international football is a shit show, and we have this fucking World Cup in Qatar now next year.
Yeah.
And the football season stops in November.
I think a lot of clubs would be pulling their players out of that, like, saying pretend you're injured.
Yeah.
Well, see, I've got a lot of family who live away from Ireland, right? And they haven't really lived here for, say, 40 years, right? And they have they're more connected to the idea of Ireland and Irishness than I am living here. And that's why I think a lot of this is just about myth building, because like they listen to Foster and Allen, right? And they think we listen to Foster and Allen. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'd love to hear Foster and Allen do a power ballad now.
But when I was in New Zealand for Paddy's Day years ago in Christchurch, we found an Irish bar that had a Foster and Allen tribute night, and I didn't know who Foster and Allen were.
They sell more records than U2.
You serious?
Yeah, they're the biggest selling Irish band in the world, and it's all expats buy it, like all kind of people who talk about the old country. They're going back to the old country.
That's what I was saying about Paddy's Day. Paddy's Day is more. I don't not like Paddy's Day. There was maybe 5-6 years in a row where I would have went to the pub on Paddy's Day just for a day of drinking. But I think it's more for and more loved by expats that have been out of the country for a long period of time, where they probably get a bit homesick for the day. Danny's thing about the best fans in the world thing, I mean, that's probably, and then Gary saying about the English fans, that's all that is. That's basically saying, thank God our lads aren't wrecking the gaff or throwing fucking chairs or...
I don't think it is. We're celebrating getting a fucking certificate that FIFA printed out off Microsoft Word, Graham.
But in fairness, the Irish fans, they just litter. Whereas the English fans just wreck it. I was in Basel once, and Ireland had played one of their regular shitty 0-0 draws with Switzerland in Basel. I remember the next day, it just looked like the Somme or something. Like the town was just wrecked, like, no broken glass or broken chairs, just litter everywhere, cans everywhere,
Just loads of Toblerones discarded.
Toblerones, yeah, giant Toblerones, deflated vinyl shamrocks and stuff like that. And I heard this man say to his son, this Basel has a reputation for being one of the cleanest cities in the world. And look at it, son, we wrecked it. He was fucking delighted.
The last time when you were working, the way you're saying there about international football and you don't like it and stuff like that, but you did say before that when you were working at Ireland versus Holland when McAteer scored, you stood up.
That's the greatest. That's probably the greatest sporting event I was ever at in my life. See, I think it meant more in those days.
When did it die? When did it die in your head then?
I think
Steve Staunton came out.
15 years of Steve Staunton, Trapattoni, and Martin O'Neill. Like, see, the thing is, what Ireland actually forgot during those years is that people paying to watch a football match are entitled to a certain standard of entertainment, right? Football is first and foremost entertainment. And while I'm not a fan of Manchester United, Alex Ferguson understood that you have to entertain the crowd. That's what they're there. That's the whole point of why we're doing this. And when Liverpool were playing terrible long ball football under Gerard Houllier, I got no joy whatsoever out of watching them because they had no ambition. I got much more joy out of watching them under Roy Evans, where they were winning nothing and I had the ambition to try and play. And for about 15 years, Ireland were just happy to play terrible football and draw 0-0 or 1-1 or lose 1-0. And they've kind of gone back to that now as well. I mean, some of the worst days of my life in the last 20 years have been watching Ireland. Like, really, genuinely. Mick McCarthy, the first time round, had a commitment to play great football, and we had really good players in those days. And there was just something special. There was an atmosphere around the Ireland team. There isn't anymore now. Even the people who go to see the matches don't like being there. I got that under Steve Staunton and Trapattoni when I wasn't a journalist anymore. So I bought one of those, lifetime tickets, where you have to essentially pay the FAI until you die for your tickets. And no, I wasn't enjoying the matches, and nobody around me was. There was great banter in the crowd, but no one was watching the football with any great interest. It was all about this guy shouted this, and somebody else shouted something back, and if we were united, it was just in our shared sense that we were having a terrible time. It's kind of a good forerunner to COVID, really. Just sitting around, talking to people, except on Zoom, about how shit everything is. That's what following the Ireland team was like between 2005 and 2021.
Yeah, it's
a penance. It's really a penance. I put on Andorra and San Marino the last international break, just to say, because it's live on television, and this is what they've done with international football now. They think we throw loads and loads of shit at the wall and hope it sticks. San Marino and Andorra shouldn't be on the television, even if there was a fucking dragon in the stadium, right? even if they tried to make it more interesting by releasing live lions onto the pitch, they could not make Andorra against San Marino in any way interesting, right? If Elvis came back from the dead and played a concert at halftime, I still wouldn't watch it, right? I'd turn the telly off. And I just thought I'd stick this on just to see what it's about, And they didn't disappoint me. It was just absolutely turgid, really, really terrible football.
What do you expect, Paul?
I was expecting Liverpool Football Club, really. When I turn on the telly at the weekend, I want to see Liverpool Football Club. But this international football thing is a cod, because the players don't even believe. They've brought this Nations League in, and they're trying to convince them. Even the players don't believe they're competitive matches. And you can see they don't want to get injured. That's why all the matches are finishing 1-0 or 0-0. And nobody's putting their foot in. It's just completely horrible. There should be less international football, not more.
Yeah, the Nations League is a fucking shit show of it. It was absolutely nothing for me. And I think the last time you were on, we were saying, what do you have to do to get knocked out of the Jesus thing? Yeah. What do you have to do for it to go away? Kind of it's just
we're still in it. It's over. The European Championships should have been played last summer. I think we only just went out of it, didn't we?
It's
we just knocked out of it about 3 weeks ago. Oh, it's terrible nonsense. And the thing about football is football is the perfect model for multiculturalism and how it should work, right? And you look at Man United, look at Liverpool, look at Spurs, look at Chelsea. You've got 25 different nationalities sharing a workspace, right? And living together and producing together, producing brilliant things, beautiful art, and working together in perfect harmony, you know. And then 6 or 7 times a season, they all go off to play for their countries. And that's when you just suddenly think, oh yeah, I never really thought of Virgil van Dijk as being Dutch before, you know? and then you suddenly have to think in nationalistic terms, which I fucking hate anyway. Like, I just hate that whole country versus country thing. I just think it's a nonsense. Like, and so it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing for me. Nothing whatsoever.
And I think on that note, lads, I think we'll start to wrap up, and I'll just wish you a happy Patrick's Day, and hope you enjoy Cheltenham and the upcoming international window.
And you know, I'll watch every match and moan about it.
That's it, yeah. In between the horse race and flick over, yeah.
I just want to thank all the people from Ballybrack that have messaged me that have said they've bought Manscaped, and thanks, lads. And there's going to be, I suppose there's an influx of hairless flutes around Ballybrack now. So thanks, lads.
Yeah, it's great. And just to clarify, when we say 20% off, that's off the price of your Manscaped kit. It's not off your member. Safety first, lads. It does have skin safe technology, so don't worry, you're covered there. Oh god, I can't believe we're getting paid for fucking people shaving their balls. It's a fantastic world we live in, lads. Yeah. Gary, is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap up this evening?
No, just if people have some common manners if they're in a supermarket, just because you have 2 items in your fucking hands, give people space to put stuff on the fucking runway and get their own stuff done, and observe the 2 meter social distance rules.
Yep. And never ever be the person who loads up the runway, say, and then says, oh sorry, do you mind if I just run and I forgot to grab something. Never be that person.
And also, just in support of Gary, because I do support him on this. I think if you're in the supermarket, you that thing of I've only got 2 items, can I go through? I don't think you should ever ask to play through on a supermarket queue, right? It's not, it's not the pitch and putt course, right? You just wait your turn, right? It's not like Gary's going to take 3 hours to put his items through. I think that playing through thing is something that should be offered. You should wait in the queue until somebody says, you only have 2 items, why don't you go ahead with me? I don't think it's something you should suggest if you have 2 items.
Well, if you put it into context, Paul, if I was standing at a bar ordering drinks, right?
Yeah.
Can I have 4 vodkas, 2 Red Bulls, 4 pints of Guinness, and somebody interrupts me and said, sorry, I'm only getting 2 pints of Heineken, can I jump in ahead? What would you do? You'd fucking laugh at them.
Or glass them, Gary.
Yeah. No? Absolutely.
Yeah. And certainly that's what would happen in the Ramblers Rest anyway.
It should happen in it should happen in fucking Finnegan's. Because it's the behaviour of animals. Give people their fucking space.
Absolutely, yeah.
If there's a lesson that comes out of this, if we were to sum it up in one sentence, it would be that: give people their space.
Absolutely.
Paul, I seen the paperback edition of Ross is the cover is the first one without Ross on it. Have you got the next book finished already?
I have actually, yeah. I finished it. I'm doing the rewrites this week and next week. It's due next Wednesday, and I'm not allowed to tell you the title. I'm dying to tell you the title, but I can't. I'm not allowed. I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't tell you. But
do you want to tell us? And I promise I'll edit it out.
No.
Okay. All right.
It's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I will be in breach of a. Anyway,
it's like Merlo and restraining orders. I get you. No worries.
So that's done, and I'm happy with it. So I'm doing rewrites at the moment. They're due next week, and I have a book of columns coming out called Rock of Ages. It's the best of the Ross O'Carroll Kelly columns going back 20 years, and that's coming out the first week in April. So
going back 20 years, I'd say that was like research, and that was a pain in the arse, was it?
Well, I had them all on the computer, Merrill, which was handy enough. But it was a bit weird going back through them because, like, there was loads of stuff I forgot. Like, at the beginning, Ross had a little brother called Jamie O'Carroll Kelly, Jock, and I fucking I wrote about him for about 3 weeks, and then I just forgot he had the brother and never wrote about him ever again. And
No way.
yeah, and then he was drinking Miller instead of Hino. I can't imagine what was going through my mind when I had Ross drinking Miller. Weird stuff.
You must have been in the gin mill, Paul.
Is that a Miller? That's a Miller spot, is it?
They have Miller there. I have a question for Paul Howard, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. Yeah.
Do we have an update on Ballybrack Boys?
Well, I mean, we're still kind of where we were 2 months ago. You know, I mean, I'm working away on it, and I'm hoping it's going to happen pretty soon. You know, but the thing about television is nothing happens for ages and ages and ages, and then it either drops off the edge of the world or it just suddenly happens very quickly. Then, but I'm pretty sure this is going to happen, and I've the scripts written, and I'm really excited about it. That's all I can say.
To borrow a phrase, the nation holds its breath.
Well, a community holds its breath. I want to film in Cromlech Fields. That's the thing. I keep thinking, like, you know, because as I'm writing the stuff, I'm picturing all these things that happened in my childhood, and I can't imagine them being filmed on a set somewhere. You know, I wanted to happen on location in Cromlech Fields. Like that's where it has to happen.
Brilliant.
Love it. Lads, it's always a pleasure, and no doubt we'll be doing this again probably in another 2 or 3 months' time. Fingers crossed we'll all be up to our flute and vaccine, and we might actually be doing face to face. But for now, Gary's broken camera and Merrill's dodgy Wi-Fi will have to suffice.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Pleasure as always.
Thanks, lads.
Yeah, Gary, would you like to do the outro for us this week?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but yeah. You can listen to all previous 238 episodes on the RTE player. If you have a Virgin Media box, you won't get it, but you will get it in 2024. If you have cable link, you're fucked. But you can find us on WTSpod.com. I think I got that right, did I?
You did, yeah, you did.
Which is an internet site which is available through www.domain. I'm turning into Vincent Brown here. Text the word hash followed by Rowley Robbins. You can find us on Spotify, and you can also through the WTS Pod website watch the Brookside box set.
For some reason, Gary, and we don't know why, the last 3 episodes are missing off season 4. We'll get to the bottom of it eventually.
We'll blame Jimmy Corkill, the fucking tramp.
Oh, brilliant. Gary, thank you very much for that outro. Jesus Christ. Merdo, until next week. Paul, thank you very much. Gary, thank you very much.
Looking forward to the next time.
God bless.